We've got some new updates to the Wonders of the First tournament and penalty rules and guidelines. This is for those of you that are traveling to events, both local and national. These are some clarifications and some things that are going to be great for the game, including no more draws. Y'all, they finally listened. Let's go. Howdy, American Texan here, and I love trading cards, specifically the game Wonders of the First, and I recently got into competitive play at the Star City Games competitions and the World Championship last year. Now today, literally as just a few hours before I film this, we've got an update from the event. I don't know his exact title, Wicked, the event coordinator for Wonders of the First. There are some rules updates that are being clarified from a lot of questions that we had going into Atlanta and coming out of Atlanta, as well as some things that I've been harping on myself for the game to, I think, be a different option for players who are just kind of fed up or tired of the way trading card competitions are done. We've made a step in the right direction, and I'm excited to go over that with you today. So we've got the update to the rules. This is the Wonders of the First Tournament Rules and Policy version 1.2, updated today, 120. And you'll look down here at the publishing of this video on 120, as well as the penalty guidelines and procedure guidelines for 120. This video is mainly going to be focused around the tourney rules. The penalty guidelines, I think, are good to know going in, but this is more to know what happens if you mess up, do something wrong, or whether or not something you're doing is wrong and how the judge is going to approach that. So we're going to mainly look at the tournament rules here, and we're mainly going to start with the new intentional draws that are updated. So if you look here at section 3.5 of the tournament rules, by the way, you can go download this at any time on the Wonders of the First website, but I have the old rules. I just had them saved in my history, so I'm able to pull them up. We've got the old and new rules. You'll notice the old rules have just a paragraphs to start. The new rules have quite a longer paragraph to start. It says players may mutually agree to an intentional draw only before the start of the first game of the match. Now, right now at Star City Games competitions, there is only best of one. So the match is only one game, but that means that you can only intentionally draw, meaning, hey, we're both going to draw. Is that okay? We're not going to get the win or the loss. And for many players, once you get 3-0 or 4-0 in a 5-round Swiss, you don't have to play that last game, because mathematically there are just not enough people below you that can catch up. So you're automatically in the top 8. So a lot of folks will just draw into that, meaning draw into the top 8. Look, I've said it before on this channel multiple times. I don't like that. I want it to be like American football or American baseball. Like, even if you're out of the playoffs, you still got to show up. You still got to play the game. You still got to give it your all. And so the fact that, like, when I went to my first tournament, I'm like, what do you mean people just like draw? Like, they just don't play. And that's because when you win in the point scoring, you get 3 points. If you lose, you get 0 points. And if you draw, you get 1 point. So if you're 3-0 or 4-0 and you're in the last round, well, you can just draw. And anyone that's 3-1, they can't catch up to you, because literally, even if they won and became 4-1, well, your 4-0-1 actually counts more. That's 13 points versus their 12 points. So you're automatically in. Okay. So all that said, that no longer matters, because now when you draw, and this is from the announcement, I didn't see it in the tournament rules, but we could put it in the announcement. Once play begins, okay, the match has to be determined. All draws are now recorded as a double loss, which means if you draw now in a Wonders of the First tournament, you get 0 points. Other card games, when you draw, you get 1 point. And again, that makes it so if you're 4-0 in a 5-round game, anyone that is 3-1 and then goes on to be 4-1, your 4 wins and a draw is worth more than someone's 4 wins and a loss, which means you're automatically placed higher, even though you didn't play 5 games. You played 4 games, right? So now draws are recorded as a loss. So if you are 4 wins and a draw, you have the exact same amount of points as someone with 4 wins and a loss. I think that is huge. That is exactly what we need. That means you need to play every game. Every game matters. If you're 4-0 at the top, there's no point in drawing anymore, because you're going to get the loss. At least if you play, you have a chance of not getting that loss, which means when you get to the top 8, all of these guys are actually the best top 8 players, not the ones that just had great matchups or good games and good draws for the first 3 games, and then mathematically were just automatically in, and so they just drew and then went and had some coffee, or went and had some lunch, or went and took care of some work, or went to go answer some emails, or go merge some items, or just went to go spectate what the other guys are doing, right? The other guys are sweating and battling it out, trying to get their position in the top 8, and someone else who just happened to have good matchups doesn't have to play those last 2. I just never liked that. It's just a joke. Like, I'm too American for that. I think this is a great move. So now we're going to see a lot more games get played, and that's exactly what we want in a competition. We don't want to buy tickets to a football game, and then it's like they're automatically in the playoffs against someone else who's automatically in the playoffs, so they're just not going to play the game. That's lame. Sorry, that's lame. So I think this is a great rule. This was in the tournament rules before. However, it's much more clarified now. You cannot draw or play the game and see how anyone else did and then figure out, well, it's actually better if I win, you lose, or it's better if we draw because someone else won. No, if you want to draw for whatever reason, I guess, it has to be done before the start of the match. Once you start playing, you have to go with what's on the board. Additionally, you cannot play the game and then look at the standings and say, well, based on how everyone else did, it actually works better if I don't win this game, even though I actually won the game on the board. It's actually better if you win this game, or it's actually better if we draw. I don't know if that would ever be the case. But if you play the game, you have to play it out and you have to go with what's on the board. I think this clarification is fantastic, and it's one more way that Wonders is separating itself from other TCGs. One more thing here I think is very important to take note of, especially if you're on a team, is the addition to this clarification here. Intentional draws must be agreed upon solely between the two players involved in the match and may not involve coordination, incentives, external influence, or random methods, which means like you can't just flip a coin and say, hey, we're going to figure out if this is a draw or not. So you cannot involve coordination, which I believe means like you can't talk it over with someone else. And look, I'll be honest, guys, that's me. Okay, I'm not a math guy. I still barely understand how all those Swiss rounds work. So when I got into the top matchups in the last rounds, I was like, hey, just someone else do the math for me, right? Can you help me figure out if I should draw or if I should actually play for the win? You can't do that now. And I think that also falls under external influence. Incentives as well. You know, you can't say, hey, if we both draw, I'll give you $10 or I'll buy you a coffee. Like, you can't do that. No incentives to ask for someone for a draw. But again, the addition here now that all draws are now recorded as a double loss, I think really prevents that. And I think that's a great move. Good job to the Wonders team for putting that in there. We also got some clarifications on concessions. I believe there's a little bit more here when it comes to concessions. But basically, you can't ask for someone to concede. That's kind of manipulation, which they also went deep on in this update as well. But you can't say, hey, if you concede, I'll give you 50% of my winnings. If you concede, I'll make sure that you get this special promo card. You can't say, if you concede, I'll help you with whatever. Like, you can't ask someone else to concede. I would say even in a joking way, right? It's like you don't make jokes at TSA. Well, you don't make jokes about like, hey, you could always concede. That's coercion. That's not okay. Nix that from your vocabulary. Don't even joke about it. I like that it's very clear here. Here's another new section here. In the previously, section 6.2 was called bribery. Now it's called match and tournament manipulation. I think that's a very good update here. So before it was basically bribery. Hey, you can't offer things in return for, quid pro quo or whatever it's called. Now we've got actual manipulation here. So just reading through it, players are required to determine the outcome of games, matches, or tournaments only through normal gameplay using legal concession, which means like you can't, again, coerce someone to concede, or intentional draws that they just added. So that's, of course, just kind of keeping ducks in a row there. Players may not attempt to influence or determine the outcome of a game through agreements, coordinations, incentives, or random methods like dice or coin flipping. Any action that undermines the integrity of the competitive process is prohibited. So things like offering, requesting, or accepting any incentive to influence the outcome of a game or a match, agreeing to advance who will lose, win, or draw a game or a match, determining a winner or draw using dice, coin flips, or similar means. So I got ahead of myself there. Coordinating results across multiple matches or players. Okay. So that means, like, again, you can't like sit there and look at how everyone else's match is doing and then figure out if you want to win or lose yours. Can't do that. Knowingly reporting or confirming incorrect match results. This is a big one I haven't seen anyone talk about in the Discord. If you say, hey, I'm going to submit our match and I lost, so good game, and then you actually submit that you won or that you submit that you drew, that's a big no-no. You cannot do that. So I think that's a big thing here. Now, it does say knowingly, so I guess accidents are covered, but just be super careful because, again, when you go to these competitions and you want to win right, you want to win well, you want to win above reproach. So just make sure that you do that. You're very extra careful with that. In fact, kind of my go-to thing is the winner reports. So if I win a game, I'm going to report it. If you win a game, game, hey, I'm going to ask you to report it. You don't need to rub it in, right? Manipulating standings through coordinated dropping or non-participation, right? That's more for like if you have a team, I guess. So yeah. And then players may offer or accept a price split with their opponent, provided it does not influence the outcome of a game or a match. Okay. So just basically don't do that. I wouldn't even do that, period. Like, hey, if we both win, we should split and do this. It's like, don't even talk about that at the table. Play the game first, right? Talk about that later. So I think that is a very good addition and clarification. So there you have it, just a couple of rundowns on some things that I noticed that were different. There's, of course, many other differences. If you want something more detailed, let me know, and I'll take the time to actually go through and take a look at everything specifically. But overall, within the tournament rules and the way that the double loss is now counted for an intentional draw, I think those are the biggest things that you need to be aware of, especially at the time of this recording, if you're going to Portland or Milwaukee at the upcoming Star City games. Any questions you have, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to make sure that we're all clear on this. Even though I won't be there, I want to help the community play the best that they possibly can. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe for more content, and I'll see you all in the next video. Adios.